The restaurant was nearly empty, the soft clinking of cutlery and muted chatter filling the air. She sat at the corner table, nervously glancing at the door every few seconds, wondering if anyone would actually show up. Blind dates had never been her thing, and after a few disappointing experiences, she almost didn't bother coming tonight. But something made her take that small step, and now, as the minutes ticked by, she wondered if it had been a mistake. Then, the door opened, and he walked in. A single dad, a successful CEO, but more than that, a man who seemed to carry both kindness and a quiet strength in his eyes. He scanned the room and, seeing her sitting alone, smiled softly. Without hesitation, he walked over and took the empty chair across from her. "Don't leave," he said, gently holding her hand. "You're the only one who came." Her heart skipped a beat. Why had he said that? And why did the warmth of his hand make all her doubts disappear for a moment? The air between them felt charged, full of questions neither had dared to ask. Tonight was supposed to be just another blind date, but something told her this meeting was anything but ordinary. She took a shaky breath, trying to steady the fluttering in her chest. His presence was calming, yet somehow intimidating, like meeting someone who had already seen the world and all its complications. As they exchanged small smiles, she noticed the faint lines around his eyes, proof of years spent juggling responsibilities, of challenges most people never saw. A single dad, a CEO, and yet here he was, sitting across from her, holding her hand as if it meant the world. She wondered what had brought him here tonight. Was he genuinely interested in meeting someone, or was this just a brief escape from the constant demands of work and family? And what about her own story, her small victories, her fears, the life she had built quietly while hoping someone would notice? The waiter arrived with their drinks, breaking the tension for a moment, but the air remained charged. Every glance, every slight smile seemed loaded with unspoken words. She couldn't tell if he was trying to read her mind or if she was doing the same to him. Questions buzzed in her head, questions she wasn't ready to voice yet, and then, just as she was about to ask him something, he leaned closer, lowering his voice in a way that made her heart race. "There's something you should know about me." Her curiosity spiked, but so did a flicker of caution. The way he said it, so calm, so deliberate, made it clear this wasn't a casual comment. She wanted to lean back, to create some distance, but something inside her, a mix of intrigue and trust, kept her rooted to the chair. "What is it?" she asked softly, trying to mask the nervous quiver in her voice. He hesitated, glancing around the nearly empty restaurant, as if the walls themselves might be listening. "I don't usually do this, dates, I mean, and it's complicated, because my kids come first, always. They're my world, and anyone I meet has to understand that." His eyes held a mixture of pride and vulnerability. She could see the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. A man balancing love, work, and family in a way she could barely imagine. Her mind raced with questions. How would she fit into this world? Could she ever measure up to the life he had built? And what if she couldn't handle the pressure that came with being close to someone like him? Before she could respond, he shifted slightly, a hint of hesitation in his tone. "There's more," he whispered. "Something happened recently. Something I haven't told anyone." The tension between them grew thicker, the evening suddenly heavier, and she realized this blind date was turning into a story far more complicated and intriguing than she had ever expected. Her heart pounded as she leaned in, hanging on his every word. "What happened?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper, yet sharp with curiosity. He took a slow breath, as if weighing how much to reveal, his fingers tightening around hers in a small, reassuring gesture. "My ex," he finally said, his eyes darkening with memory. "She's been causing trouble with the kids. Nothing dangerous, but it's complicated, and it's affecting my family more than I expected." The words hung in the air like a storm waiting to break. She felt a pang of sympathy mixed with anxiety. How could she possibly step into someone's life when there were already so many battles being fought behind the scenes? She wanted to respond, to say something comforting, but he raised a hand. "I need you to know this isn't easy for me, or for them, and I don't expect you to understand everything right away. But I felt I had to be honest, especially since you're here, and you actually came." For a moment, silence filled the space between them. The soft music and clinking dishes faded as their own world seemed to shrink to just the two of them. Her mind raced with thoughts of loyalty, trust, and the uncertainty of stepping into someone else's tangled life. Then, just as she was about to speak, his phone buzzed loudly on the table. He glanced at it, his face tightening. "I have to take this," he muttered, rising slightly, but leaving his hand on hers. Her pulse quickened. Who could be calling him now? Was it his ex? Another problem she wasn't ready to face. And in that split second, she realized this night was far from over, and the next moments could change everything. He glanced at the screen and froze. His confident, composed expression faltered for the first time that evening. It's my lawyer," he said quietly, his thumb hovering over the screen. "There's been an emergency with the custody arrangement. Something came up last minute." Her stomach dropped. She hadn't expected this. The man who had seemed so grounded, so in control, suddenly looked vulnerable, almost human in a way that made her pulse quicken. "Do you have to go?" she asked, trying to hide the panic in her voice. He nodded, but didn't let go of her hand. "I can't ignore this, but but I don't want you to leave either. You're the only person here who's actually— Here his words hit her in a way she hadn't anticipated. She realized this blind date wasn't just about getting to know each other. It was about trust, timing, and stepping into a life that was already complicated. Just as she was processing this, another message popped up on his phone. He read it quickly, and his face paled. It's my assistant. Something happened at work. Our biggest deal might be falling apart tonight. The room felt smaller, the tension thicker. Two worlds, his family, his career, were colliding in real time, and she was suddenly caught in the middle. Could she handle being part of a life this chaotic? Or was this blind date about to end before it truly began? He took a deep breath, sliding his phone into his pocket. I have to handle both, he said, a hint of determination in his voice. But I don't want to leave you sitting here alone. Stay with me for a little while longer. She nodded, feeling a mix of fear and excitement. Somehow, she trusted him even with the chaos pressing in from every side. They stayed in the quiet corner, talking in low voices. He shared more about his kids, his struggles as a single dad, the constant pressure of being a CEO, and she opened up too, sharing her own challenges, her hopes, and the dreams she had tucked away, afraid no one would understand. With each word, the distance between their worlds shrank, replaced by a fragile, thrilling connection. Then, just as they began to feel a sense of calm, the door swung open. A young girl ran in, holding a small envelope. Daddy, this came for you, she exclaimed. He took it, surprised, and opened it to find a letter confirming that his custody situation had unexpectedly been resolved in his favor. But there was a note inside from someone claiming to know a secret about him, something that could change everything. He looked at her, eyes wide, and whispered, I didn't expect this tonight, and I think neither of us is ready for what comes next. The night had given them connection, hope, and now, a mystery that promised the story was far from over. He gently folded the letter and looked at her, a small, tired smile breaking through the tension. Looks like tonight was full of surprises, he said softly, but one thing hasn't changed. I'm glad you came. She felt a warmth spread through her chest, realizing that amidst all the chaos, they had found a genuine connection. Over the next hour, they talked and laughed, sharing stories that had nothing to do with work, kids, or problems. For the first time that evening, the pressure lifted, replaced by a quiet sense of understanding. She saw the man behind the CEO title, the dad who loved fiercely, who carried responsibilities she could barely imagine, but who also made room for moments like this, for real human connection. As they left the restaurant, hand in hand, she realized the importance of patience, trust, and stepping into someone's life even when it feels complicated. Life would continue to throw challenges at him and her, but tonight had shown her that facing them together was possible, and when the girl waved goodbye from the doorway, she knew this was only the beginning of something meaningful. Sometimes, a single decision to show up, to take a chance, could change everything. Tonight, it had changed theirs.